Quite often I hear on the news Obama, Binladin, whatever, what's his name, Obama Binladin or whatever, anyway, the president who always puts his 3 cents worth into people's business as a president. Now, what it's like to be a white Australian living here in America has been very disturbing. Sure, some of the blacks, not all, get a bad deal, but some of them have to go to jail to hopefully fix up some issues that had developed over the years of personal development or personality. But anyway, living here in America, what it's like when I hear the president. Now, I hear him talking about the bad deal the Latin Americans have got from Mexico or whatever, that there's 11 million here, that we should make them all, what do you call it, American citizens. Now, in hindsight, that sounds really good, but are they going to pay the same fees as what I had to pay as to get a green card? It seems like there's going to be a skipper process, and the people who have been waiting to either come into this country or who have made it to this country and paid their dues, they get a slap in the face by the president, because he wants to, as what I can gather, let the illegals in like a flooded stream, make them all American, then, they all collect Social Security. And that's going to be a bit of a slap in the face. The thing with home foreclosures, Obama's little scheme, a lot of people just did not qualify for Obama's little health care plan. What do you call it? When you lose your house and they give it back to you again, or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about, I forget that. So anyway, a lot of people got slapped in the face by foreclosure, and there was a lot of schemes saying Obama will help you out to keep your house and lower your rates. The problem is, a lot of that was headed by a lot of scams, misdirection, and a lot of people did lose their homes, and they just didn't qualify for the Obama schemes. Obama Health. I know nothing much about the Obama Health. All I know is that a lot of people will be forced into medical, well, you got to take this and that's it. You were in a private scheme, you're not going to have that private scheme no more. You got to have this. But anyway, that's one of those things. Obama likes to talk about how him and Michelle and his daughters are all involved in the American people's sexuality. That Obama's kids knock around with other kids whose parents are homosexual or gay. Well, that's his business. But he likes to step in and tell everyone the way that he thinks, and basically, like, if you don't think like me, you're against us, or it has political ramifications all over the world by his comments. A lot of people here down south don't get to see the president as much as what I would think up in Washington, where people get to see the president more often. The president needs to come down this way a lot more and not charge, $150 a plate, or, $3,000 a plate to sit close to him. A lot of people just want to meet the guy, want to get to know him as a person, but that's not going to happen. I wonder also, with the illegals who are in this country, whether they have to pay for their biometrics, which that costs money. A lot of people would say, oh, well, they're too poor to pay for it. Well, unfortunately, I was pretty poor, or we were pretty poor also, but we still had to follow the guidelines and pay for it. Just because I didn't sneak over the border didn't give me any extra privileges. Sure, I got married, but I didn't need to be here in America or live here for a green card. I just got married, that's just the way that happened. But there's going to be a lot of shit that a lot of us people think what about the bad deals. One of the other things, and I hope people are listening here, is America has not done anything to curb the Nigerian scammers. They're still continuing on, same flow, same issues, same crap, and that's been going on for years. Why doesn't the government cut funding to those areas? Why doesn't he put pressure on those people who are scamming on the internet with their computers, innocent people on romance scams, oil scams, lotto scams? Sure, you might say that if people are gullible and they fall for it, well, the problem is the government here are making people gullible and falling for it because the country here in America has scams within itself. So I'm wondering what the government's going to do to curb the scams once and for all, because they're basically the same as border jumpers. A person in Nigeria will say, well, I'm going to be on the plane tonight, I'll be there over in America tomorrow, I need this $870 to pay for the plane ticket, and I'll be there tomorrow, send it via Western Union, I'm having these problems. So basically what they're saying is that they're coming to America, they're coming to border jump, but unfortunately that just doesn't exist, that you can just turn up on the doorstep and border jump without a visa. A lot of people seem to forget that. That's no difference than an illegal who walks, for 3 or 4 days to get to San Antoine or some and Twengatung, sort of place, and then they feel like they've been discriminated against because they got caught for sneaking here into America and they got sent back. So they pulled the racial profile. The people never entered the right way. They wanted to sneak in here to pinch the American dollar, to pinch the American beds that could belong to other homeless people in America. But anyway, I'm not sure if these things get addressed or they're just a bunch of crap. You've got these you've got a lot of poor people that live down in the south. We're not talking about people who live in those gated housing complexes, where they've got the gate there and the security guard and all that sort of stuff. We're talking about people who are totally poor, who don't have much money. There might be some schemes for some people, but a lot of them nowadays you don't qualify for. Anyway, that's my rant for the day, is that, being white here in America, people don't know what it's like to be discriminated against for being white. I can't go to certain food shops here where it is down south because that's just not good, and sometimes we've been to these food shops and they don't serve you well. Who doesn't serve you down south? We've got coloured people. We call them coloured people, who don't want to serve you. You've got the people who are discriminative, where if you go into a gambling hall, and I've said this before, you will have a woman, for instance, who'll put her bag on that seat next to that machine, on this side, her drink on that side, and they don't want anyone who are white to sit near them. I've been to the motor registry where you get your tags. I've seen them do it again. And it's not only just once, a bag this side, a cup of drink this side, who knows if the drink's full or whatever. They don't want white people sitting near them. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes I don't want black people sitting next to me because some of them are mean as all shit. They're mean, just totally mean. And that's my opinion. And I've seen it before. I don't know what it is, and I've seen some really mean white people also, and I've seen some really mean Mexican type profiles who have tattoos on their neck. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, you hear stories of people who jump the border. They come over here in America, beat up an American citizen so they can get some money in their pocket because they've got nothing, and they continue on the way while the other person's recovering in hospital, stabbed, shot, or dead. A lot of people are wondering here, what is Mr. Obama Binladin doing for that not to happen? Are they securing the borders the way they should, could, or would be able to? There's a lot of great people who work in that industry, that service. They're doing exactly what they want to do. They're protecting the borders under the policies that are given to them. But a lot of us are looking down south, but people jump over the borders at Canada also, even down at the bottom of Florida. Anyway, that's something that I'm having another rant about, is that the medical system here and buying pills, medicines is just stupid, overpriced, can't afford it. If you can't afford it, you still stay sick. The elderly now, I don't know who told them, but the elderly here are getting pretty much of a bad deal from the insurance companies. If you're at a certain age, like 75, 76 or older, they don't cover your medical expenses for A, B, C, but you might be qualified for Y. But that means that basically a lot of the medical services here, they want to leave you for dead in treating you. Now that's a little bit silly, but that's what goes on in the medical system. There's a lot of still going on corruption going on here between politicians and workers. I remember a bloke that was working for LA. What was it? He was, whatever it was, he was working as a commissioner for the LA whatever. He was selling his books on the internet, but he was selling them off as saying that he couldn't afford ink and paper. For 3 years he gave me the runaround, and all I got was a e-book on the internet while I was waiting for him to afford the ink and paper. When I questioned him about his sincerity, I got kicked out of his great little group. Commissioner for the LA something, for Los Angeles, can't remember. But anyway, I got kicked out of his little group. He kept his $80, and all I ended up was with an e-book. And he's still on the internet selling his wares. He's, it's a shame, but that's what's going on. You've got people on the internet who are supposed to be in authoritarian positions, ripping off things. You've got here another thing. I hope someone's watching this and listening. Now, this sounds really stupid. I live here in Alabama. It's illegal to have illegal gambling, to have bingo halls or casinos that just open up and shut down. because it's a non-gambling state for some reason. Now, here in America, there's a lot of people who open up gambling halls. They keep them open, and they can still run them as a business illegally. I remember one time, and this is going a little bit off Obama, but he's the one who's running our country. I remember one time I went to an illegal gambling hall, I think here in Midfield or something, and the one line of the machines back and forward of them, there must have been about 6 or 12. The plug was sending them offline, but they could still play the machine. So the bloke said to everyone, this machine plug is playing up, the machine's not working properly, but you can play it at your own risk. That's illegal. They were running the machines offline. I don't know how they done it, because they got, but they were just telling people that the plug was playing up, and you can play at your own risk. And then when the freezer's up and it does nothing, and the computer done nothing, they just point at all machines are void, all pays are void. Now that happened, I think, to a number of people. They won, something like $120, $130. The cord was playing up on the machine or something like that, online machine, so they lost their money. And he said, well, I told you you play at your own risk. Another time I was at a gambling place here, and I must have had, now you call me stupid, I must have had at least $200-300, and I thought, alright, I'll play this top bet on these lucky ducks, and there was nothing. There was no first and second and maybe a third spin will come up, and I got to the end of the darn game. This is an illegal gambling place. I went down to zero, and I went and I spoke to the manager, and I said, look, I think your machines are crap. I said, they're not paying. I said, the best pay I got out of $300, say for instance, at $2 bets was about 50 cents, the highest bet. And he said, these machines, if they've been played a lot during the day and they've had free spins on there, the machines can run out of free spins. It means that they don't exist anymore. So he said, I'll check it. He said, yeah, I can see you spent, say $300, but the machines run out of free spins. I said, how the hell could a machine run out of free spins? Yeah, so I got nothing back for it, nothing. So he offered me a little bag of chips and a free little cup of Coke from the fountain. That's bloody, that's what happens sometimes. It's totally ridiculous how they can rip you off at these illegal gambling places, but they don't shut them down, or they don't get investigated, and they know that they can't run these places legally. But there are some that can run if they're on a reservation, an Indian reservation. They can run the gambling machines. But anyway, I thought I'd just sort of have a rant, and it's been a good 20 minutes so far. What else goes on here? Shit. I was at a casino down Mississippi the other night, and we paid $15 each for the buffet. And what did they have there? Well, they had things with wilted lettuce. They had prawns that had no ice on them. They were just sitting on lettuce, which they should have been iced, you know, to keep them cold. The fish that was there was not temperature warm at all. It was the buckets, you know, where they have the salad. They had. Oh, I might leave that for another post. But anyway, yeah, living here as a white person has its struggles. We can't say black. We have to be careful how we say black. We have to be careful how we address the coloured people. You can't mention names like Daffy Duck, or you can't mention names like Big Bubba, or you can't mention names like Wooly, and you can't, you know, there's all these little things you can't do. You can't really talk about someone who's got lacquer in their hair, you know, or grease head, you know, because someone might be offended by that. Then we're only talking about this part. Then you go to New York. Well, I haven't been to New York, but I'm told that New York has a lot of the Jewish community. So you've got to be careful how you say a lot of Jewish stuff, and what's offensive, and your foods, you know, that if you have guests over, you've got to have baked beans with no pork, and then separately you've got to have your other and mark them, and oh geez, it's totally stupid. People watch this and they wonder where I am at. Your medicine's expensive here in America. Your hospital stays are ridiculous. You know, I stayed at a hospital in December, just cutting it short, and they charge for a hair comb, shampoo, and number of, you know, deodorant stick, whatever it was, and a few other little things, just for those sort of things that they had there in their little toothbrush where the wires fall off. I think they charge something like $500 for, you know, that sort of stuff, where it's probably only the value was less than 10 for, you know, if you're giving it a high value. So yeah, medical's a bit of a problem. The government seems to be here going broke also, that they can't seem to be paying their bills because of the debt that they're in. You know, I never asked for it. A lot of the other people never asked for the debts, or the debt that the government brings to the table every day, every year. Anyway, I'm going to give up. Might be able to rant later.